a lot of times when you're having up to like 5, 6 spine crawlers, you're already up to like 35, 40 drones versus like 15 from one base. So then you pretty much just get your gas and roach forward and just make a lot of units and kill them. But pretty much like by the time that if they haven't expanded by then, like if they're still trying to pound at your door, just sacrificing their whole army over and over again, like pretty much by the time that you start your gases, the game's pretty much over. Just because you have like 40 drones versus 15 one base Zerg all in. But I mean, because you're not really making any units, like your whole rally, 100% of your larva is going to drones after your first however many Zerglings you made to leverage up the spine crawlers. You can really afford to make a ton of spine crawlers. I mean, it wouldn't really even matter if you made like 10 spine crawlers, as long as I don't have an expo,
Right. Okay. Well, that's interesting. People have asked me before, and I usually say you don't want to make more than 4 spines, but you say the more the merrier, so long as your infrastructure, I guess your economy doesn't suffer directly because of it.
Well, so long as you don't see that they have an expansion themselves, because you can't keep your overload right over their natural.
Right. Yes.
You want to immediately stop if they're expanding too, but if they just continue going one base all in, you can just make more and more. And because you're massing drones, you can afford to support so many,
Awesome, awesome. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I've got a couple kind of upper mid-level guys, 3K, 3.2, 3.3K level guys, that I'm going to throw you into some games against, if that's okay with you.
Sure.
And I am just going to pick your brain and bug you some. Bring one more guy in here. I've got like a little motley crew of wannabe pros that think they can take you. And what I'm going to be doing this whole time is just kind of interjecting, annoying you as much as I possibly can, trying to draw as much knowledge out of the StrifeCro brain as is possible. So if you're cool with that, we'll
yeah,
go
sure.
ahead and get
I can go over a lot of what I'm thinking in the games too. On Metal, I'll definitely be opening hatch first. Somehow.
Yeah, that's why I made Metal. I'll probably make Metal, and then next I'll probably make Temple, and then after we see a couple hatchery first games, we'll probably go to Zelnaga and Scrap and see how you play those. All right, so if you're ready, we'll start this game.
All right, I'm ready.
Fantastic. I think hatchery first is really, really interesting because I like, I've certainly fooled with it some, but I do not like the giving up the mobility and the map control that you lose when you don't go speedlings.
Yeah, I just feel the certain characteristics of maps like Metal and these maps, it's just I feel like you fall too far behind doing any other build other than hatch first unless you kill them at the start. If you notice that the game for Steps on Cats, the game you were talking about, on those maps like Steps, I did go for a 9 drone scout. Extremely fast drone scout, just because 6 pool will kill you on Steps if you go hatch first. But I feel like if you're playing like a speeding build like 14 gas 14 pool and they did hatch first, you just fall so far behind. So I feel like on Steps it's probably best to just 9 drone scout and hatch first if they're doing a speeding build, and go for a let's go 14 pool if they go for a 6 pool.
Well, just to play devil's advocate, of course, and you're the pro here, so it's your knowledge that we're relying on. But Cats went 14-14 into one base Banes, right?
Yeah, that's what he did. Yeah.
And that did some damage, right? It kind of kept him in the game, and it led to a pretty normal mid game. Why was he able to do damage with that?
The reason why is because I had 2 spine crawlers that got blown up by one set of banelings.
Bad position.
And if you're supposed to spread them out far enough that you'll never have more than one spine crawler get blown up by banelings, but he was able to kind of half bust me at the start just because I lost two sets of spine crawlers to one set of banelings. That's basically the only reason why that he didn't fall so far behind at the start, and how it was a very even game throughout, even after that opening.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And anybody
he did a lot of damage after that.
Anybody on stream that would be interested in those games, those are from the Root versus EG clan match from last night, or was it the day before? StrifeCro does not want to answer me.
It was definitely a mistake I made.
Yeah, well, it happens. We all slip up from time to time. even the pros.
Yep.
So you should be delighted to see these positions, right?
Yeah, one of the things is, a lot of times I might be going for a little bit safer builds, but I will take any advantage I can. And with perfect info here, since I'm not scared of any like 6 pool or things like that, I know this is a pretty late pool, probably 14-14. I'm going to be doing some like extremely greedy hatch first builds. You know, I'm going to be going like 16 hatch. I'm probably going to even just make like another drone after and something like 16 hatch, 16 pool. If I saw them also going hatch first, I would do even greedier builds.
Yeah.
Like I'd be making like 3 drones before a spine pool even sometimes.
Gotcha.
And note that when I do see a gas like this, I'm not really planning on getting my gas anytime soon here. I'm just planning to. It's because the Zerg economy compounds so fast from minerals. You know, all your economy stuff is drones, hatcheries, and queens, all cost only minerals. I'm just planning on getting a big economic advantage here. I do see him take his guys off gas, so I'm starting to think that's a Speedling Expo instead of a Speedling Baneling all in. So I am going to actually get my own gas here just because I see that he's expoing himself too,
Yep.
Versus a one base play, I would just play the defensive style with the queens and spine crawlers, but he did a Speedling Expo this game, so I can't just mass spine crawlers if he's also expanding units.
So he is going to have a couple lings out, and your pool is up and ready, so you will have lings to match that in time.
I will just make one spine crawler because his speed is going to be way faster than mine.
Yes.
But other than that,
and he's choosing to go for the drones and not the spine. Is that the right choice or the wrong choice?
It's the right. He wouldn't. I don't think he would have killed the spine crawler.
And from this point forward, you have the larva advantage, so he can't possibly make more lings than you.
Yeah, not for a while. As long as I don't get my lings caught in the middle of the map when he has Zergling speed, I should be able to have some control here. But I mean, I know his speed will come at a decently fast timing, so
which is
I'm gonna
exactly
pull back.
And I think it's worth noting that you went double queen as soon as your pool finished. Is that standard for you, or would you normally just get one queen in the natural and 2 spines? I mean, how does that whole dynamic work out?
I would always double queen no matter what. You need 2 queens to block off your ramp anyways.
Awesome.
Versus a one base build, so.
And on production, you have a Roach Warren going down. This is almost this almost looks like Rhett playing, in my opinion.
Yeah, he can have banelings going very soon here, so I'm pretty much going to be aiming to block my ramp and get my roaches out.
And if you had to guesstimate whether you're ahead, behind, even, what would you say at this point in the game?
He did some decent damage with his pokes, so I don't think I'm really far ahead, if any, as far as the drone count. It seems like he is droning up now because I mean he is just kind of suiciding his Zerglings.
Yep, not
so
really
it pretty much means that he doesn't want to have a big fight soon. So I'm gonna be putting my queens back in position. And instead of making roaches here, I feel actually pretty safe based on how he used his units. He is just expending them to go for drones. So I do feel like he was kind of just smackering up a little bit now.
All right. Now you've left guys on gas this whole time. I think that's interesting. Is that a mistake? Are you saving that gas for something in particular?
I'm going to be teching for lair pretty soon with the gas. I just didn't take it off. I don't think that there's too much of a reason to take your guys off gas in that situation. As I go for lair, I'm going to get a pretty quick evolution chamber just because I can start working on those missile upgrades.
Right.
The sooner you start, the better if you're going to get into like a roach war.
Yes.
The missile attack upgrades are so big.
And on production, you're still droning very hard, not really adding any units.
Yeah, the moment I got a little bit stronger, him on speedlings, I can take a little bit of map control here. It'll give me a lot of scouting info and things like that. I think it's better to start the missile attack upgrades as soon as you can, just because you can start the second one after the first one. Whereas, if you're just going for something like roach speed, unless you're going to use the roach speed
Right.
in the next like 30 seconds, it doesn't matter how fast you get it.
So I guess another way of putting that would be the +1 missile attack is important because it does open up a timing, but it's not a timing that you have to adhere to, because there's other timings that follow it. Versus with roach speed, it just stops at roach speed.
Yeah, exactly. Because once you get +1, it enables you to get +2 after. Whereas once you get roach speed, unless you're going to use it in that timing, it's not going to do anything. I will take a third here, and usually you would kind of stop at, a lot of times you would just stop at 50 drones, because you can't support much more than that from two hatches. But on metal, the third is a pretty well positioned base, and I'm just gonna try to power all the way up to like maybe like 75 drones, because every drone I make is going to be immediately profitable. How strong, because I have more bases, so I can use the production right away. I do see them move out, so I'm gonna be making roaches here.
Change gears right away into roach production.
I think it's good to keep some zerglings just in the side of the map.
Yep.
So you can pick off his third and things like that. At least scout it. And as soon as I have extra gas, and I almost never get two Evo chambers in ZvZ, just because I feel like if you have extra gas, it's better off spent on infestors other than armor upgrades right away.
You are answering all my questions before I can even ask them. I was just about to say, when do we get to see the infestors? And the answer is now. I see that you've just started spreading creep with both overlords and with a single creep tumor. Is this an important aspect of ZvZ, or is it something that you don't really stress about too much?
In ZvZ, I don't stress about spreading creep that much, just because it kind of benefits their army as well as yours, like it makes them go faster too. So I don't think it's that big to spread creep everywhere. It does give you some vision, so it's definitely good, but having a big speed advantage is not the same when you're fighting like an army that's the same range as yours, other than like Terran and Cross in general have much longer range than Zerg units, like tanks, costs, even Marines, things like that. You're pretty much using a melee army against the ranged army, so you want to close distance as soon as possible in the battles. But I mean, in ZvZ, when the army compositions are like this, having a movement speed advantage, well, you don't even have an advantage because they're also faster and creep.
Right.
So. And since the defensive advantage is so low in this type of game, the moment someone gets strong enough to negate the defensive advantage, the defensive advantage gets bigger as people get more income, just because the rally is going to be closer. But it's pretty much hard. It's pretty much hard to get a real defensive advantage. So the moment that someone gets stronger, he is going to pretty much be able to force really cost-effective fights and maybe even kill the other person.
Yeah.
I wouldn't add in Hydras if I feel like the game could go in a way where I can trade armies very easily. I would only add in Hydras if the game is kind of staling up, just because I feel like Hydras are more food effective but not more cost effective. So if I'm not worried about I'm going to be stuck at 200 food, I'm not really going to be getting Hydras.
All right.
As long as I can kind of force fights with roaches.
And this is exactly what you're doing right now. And I think it's important to note that you're closing in on a max with this attack. And then is that what instigated you to go push?
Can you say that again? Sorry.
My question was, did maxing out instigate this push, or was it something else that you saw?
Oh, pretty much maxing out. Because I don't want to sit at 200 food roaches, especially if he is adding in Hydras for a more stronger 200 food army. I think that trade went pretty well for me, and I am just going to continue to try to trade because he has Hydras. I feel like it's less cost effective and more food effective at 200. But the game is not like this game. No one really has a defense